Now, earlier we had a starter of mussels, which prepared our bellies for the main event, which is
That wasn't
happening now.
enough. They were delicious. Martin O'Donnell from the 12
lovely.
Hotel in Barna, County Galway, has stayed with us. What are we making for main course, Martin?
For main course, we've got a lovely, simple braised beef dish. So it's a braised beef pie. We're using some lovely stout, our new one in the hotel, Stout 1. I've smoked the grains first. We've incorporated chocolate and sea salt.
Brewed it in the hotel?
Yeah, it's a new one in the Pins Gastro.
It's too early.
Fabulous flavour. Of course not. So to start off...
Are you cooking with that same stove?
I'll be cooking the stew with that one.
I only had a sip.
Yeah, OK, that's fine.
I just gave you an extra bit, Tommy.
All right.
And so with the beef, what we do is we get it into a lovely hot pan.
OK. So what kind of beef are you using and how many grams would you be using for the pie? 400, 500?
About 400 to 500. Again, this one is diced beef. Classic, normal diced beef.
Okay.
So,
Cheap cuts, expensive cuts, what's
for me,
using for this?
the cheap cuts is probably the best because it's easier to use. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
And as we're going along, we're going to be showing you how to cook it, but the main thing is, if it's tough in the first stage, you cook it longer.
Yeah,
So there's no such thing as a bad piece of beef that's tough.
Low and slow.
Just cook it just a little bit more. And then all the flavours will come out. It'll be beautiful. And the dish we're doing is a beef stew with Stout 1, with some loads of lovely veggies.
So it spends
and a
enough
puff
time
pastry.
cooking. Yeah.
But as well, it can be used the next day, you know, so it's even better the next day. And that's one of the dishes we're doing. So for me, I would prepare this today and use it tomorrow. Or cook enough today for tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
Right.
So what we're doing is we're browning off the beef, nice and simple. We'll get some shallots in again. There's great flavour in the sweet shallots. Some garlic. We just saute it off quickly. Some lovely thyme.
Why do you have to brown
And a
beef?
bay leaf. It seals in the flavour.
Right.
It really seals in the flavour. So the idea is a really hot pan. As well, if you're using...
Are you using rapeseed oil, by the way, with that?
Yeah,
or is
a
it
little bit of
olive?
rapeseed.
OK.
Olive can tend to burn at a high temperature, and I want a high temperature on the beef.
Everybody's using rapeseed now. All the cool chefs.
Dumb thing.
With the beef, even if you're using this pot, cover it in tin foil, you can pop it in the oven, so you don't have to keep changing pots, loads of washing up. Try and use something that has no plastic, put it in the oven, and then take it back out.
Right.
So, beef, technically, nicely browned off. What I've brought is gravy from the hotel.
Right.
You should be able to buy this in most good shops. You can go to any of your nice restaurants and pubs and ask them for a litre of gravy. It's quite handy.
Would you, because there are not stock pots, but equivalent gravy pots that you can get in supermarkets now.
I prefer to have something that has like that kind of consistency. It's like a gravy consistency.
Yeah.
And can
It's
you freeze
much
that
easier.
then,
Yeah, you
Martin,
can.
or-
Yeah, you
Okay.
can. I'm sure every restaurant wouldn't mind selling a litre or two, so it's quite cheap as well, and it makes cooking a lot easier.
Right.
Okay, so what we have, beef, onion, and the gravy.
If you wanted to make it yourself, sorry, Martin.
It's a long process.
Right.
You know,
Don't,
we
is the
don't know.
answer.
It's not that you don't, but you probably wouldn't get enough to then use it for your dinner.
Right.
In my opinion. So with this one, very simple. We cover it in tin foil. We put it in the oven. It takes about an hour and a half. The most important thing is to test it. Test the beef. Is it tough? If it is, back in again for another half an hour, and then...
Nice and low.
And don't
Lovely.
be worried, what if it reduces too much, though?
You
if
could
have
add
an
a little
extra?
bit more gravy,
Okay,
a little
that's
bit of
fine.
water, a little bit of Stout 1, whichever you want to prefer.
Okay.
Then, after the hour and a half, when the meat is just about tender, we have lovely diced vegetables. You have diced potatoes, celeriac, carrot. If you don't like carrot, don't use them. If you don't like celeriac. So it's a mix and match. Most important thing is, all lovely, the same size.
All root,
Okay?
root
So,
vegetables.
after the 2 hours, 2 hours, 20 minutes, you've got a lovely, reduced, soft, tender piece of beef, and the veg is just cooked. So at this stage, again, I would recommend tasting it and then say, OK, it's lovely. Then we proceed.
Just to go back a minute, when did you put in the veg? At
So
what point?
what I
After it
do
was
is
in
I
for an hour and a
cover
half?
this one with tin foil for an hour and a half in the oven, then take it out, and when it's just tender, put in all the veggies, cover it again, back in the oven.
They're only going to need, what?
45 minutes for something that size.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, all cooked the same size. And it should take about 2.5 hours.
Okay.
So what we should end up is something like this, lovely and stewy, you know, potatoes are nicely cooked. What I've brought along is a little individual bowl.
When do you add the alcohol?
It was just before the beef.
Okay.
Yeah.
You missed that.
Missed that bit.
I did.
Tommy drank
Funny
it.
enough. Yeah.
So what we do?
I the whole time.
This is the individual bowl that I brought. We used them in the hotel. This was a huge seller in the gastropub downstairs, obviously with the Stout 1 and stuff and the smoky flavours.
Perfect gastropub material with your
Definitely.
pint of plain.
But for a family, take a bigger bowl.
Yeah.
So what I've done here is puff pastry, taken the little bowl,
Don't
cut
give
it
the
to the
kids
same
the pint of
size.
plain, by the way.
But you can actually give the kids stuff that you
Of
have
course
You
to
can, yeah, it's reduced.
No, because it's all reduced.
Yeah,
so
it's
there's no
reduced,
alcohol
so
content.
alcohol is really gone, yeah. So what I've done is turn this bowl upside down, cut around it. So it can be any shape, can be slightly bigger, Pyrex, doesn't matter how many you're cooking for. We just pop it on top. And what we do
Easy.
is we just kind of stick it to the edges, just like that. Nice and simple.
It's actually worth investing in those little bowls.
Yeah.
It is, because you can
Great
put them in the oven,
presentation, yeah.
hour in the oven, whatever, it doesn't really matter. So what we do, a little bit of egg wash on top, just to give that puff pastry a lovely
Shine.
golden, shiny colour. And we just put a little hole in the top. It lets the steam out as it's cooking, and it won't make your pastry soggy. So here in the oven,
Good tip there. Et voila.
lovely.
God, it's so shiny, it looks like cheese top.
And
Yeah.
you can see that all the sauce is lovely bubbling up. You can see then that it's really hot, perfect temperature. So
Beautiful.
what we're
Delicious.
going to do is just pop it on our board here. I've brought along some rapeseed oil.
What's this?
This one is an oil that we developed in the West restaurant upstairs in the 12 for people that don't like butter. So we serve it with our bread. It's hay and turf smoked. We do it ourselves in the kitchen. So it's a hay and turf smoked rapeseed oil that people serve with their bread.
I thought they were eardrops.
What's this around?
So what I'm going to do, Tommy, if you want, you can just drop some over that. You squeeze the little dropper.
Look at that little squeezer.
Lovely peppery water.
more?
Press. No, a little bit more.
Two great dishes there. Mussels
Isn't it?
followed by
Yeah,
beef.
And a little
all
salad.
rustled up in no time. Right, let's have a taste. We're out of time. We're
We'll
having a
dig
taste.
in.
Now,
Martin,
this is
thanks so
quite
much.
hot.
There you go. Don't forget your beer.
Oh, yeah.
Might as well have it,
Stout.
Tommy.
Thanks very
Somebody
much.
drive me home.
After the break, we're talking New York. Ow!
All right, sorry.
Me.